this other traditional travel agency is literally going to be non-existent very soon, as soon as they lose their last corporate accounts. I had another very interesting situation of a friend whose family have run, and you know this company, so I'm not going to give the name, but have run a company that has really been a byword in retail in India. Unfortunately, they were selling mostly commodity products. They have seen their sales go down 60% in 2 years. And it's like a wipeout event. They are very efficient, they are very frugal, they run a really good business. Nothing, and it's e-commerce that's wiping their business out. Because people will now buy the product on Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, and they're not going to be going back to this wonderful chain of stores. So it's everywhere you look, you're sensing a situation that change is just inevitable, it's happening at a really rapid rate, it's forcing people out of business, it's forcing people to rethink, and the pace of change in every area is accelerating faster than our mind's ability to comprehend it. I attended an Aam Aadmi Party rally 2 years ago. Nobody could have sensed that at that time this would be such a major force in politics. None of the pundits, none of the gurus, nobody could sense the power of this idea. I mean, it's interesting, now we can also, we all saw it, we saw it coming, we saw this coming. But we are not able to comprehend the speed at which change is coming. For example, there's a new technology out, and the guy who's preparing this technology was telling me, very interestingly, he said, within 12 months of this technology coming out, all cable guys in India would be out of business. Now, I don't think that a guy who's running a cable business is aware that he's about to be hit by a tsunami. But the tsunami is coming, it's on the horizon, it's making its way to him or her. And I'm giving you examples of this because we've seen it happen in our own business. Anything that we sell that is a commodity is being priced very differently by the e-commerce engines. And you have to now literally think of your business life, renewing yourself, renewing your focus every year. I mean, the speed at which things are happening. You look at revolutionary ideas. There's a movement called the ketonic movement in nutrition, and I've been studying it because we are also, I also am the chairman of a company called Organic India, which is one of India's largest port for organic foods. And the reason I'm studying the ketonic movement is that one of the things that it says is incredibly good for human health is something that 10 years ago people said was terrible for human health, which is desi ghee. It turns out that desi ghee is a miracle food. It is good if you cook in it. If it's higher you take the temperature of desi ghee, it doesn't break up. All your refined oils are actually toxic for the body. Some of them produce carcinogens when you heat them over a certain temperature. The fat that comes from desi ghee is actually good for you, and now ketonics is saying all this stuff about carbohydrate-rich diets is all bunkum. You got to go back to eating a fat diet. Nani and Dadi had it right when they talked about eating pinnies with ghee. I mean, it was a kind of paranthas with ghee, they had it right. The ketonic revolution started 3 months ago, and it is spreading like wildfire. Whole Food, which is a very big and probably the most successful grocery chain in the US, recently reached out to us and said, listen, what is this ghee? We want like hundreds of tons of it. Organic. So I recently went to see how you can get organic ghee. I'm using this example because things are changing rapidly. 2 years ago, someone said, listen, the more fat you eat for you, it's better for you, it's especially better for women, and the books on the ketonic revolution are going to change the whole way dieting is done in the next 6 months. No nutritionist now is going to be talking about the old way of dieting. They have research, it's showing them some completely radical new stuff. The reason I think things are changing rapidly is because we are wired and connected in a completely different way. Information is flowing in a completely different way. People are making choices in a completely different way. And I'll give you an example. This morning, I was told that one customer had a complaint, and I think a totally justifiable complaint. She tweeted it, she put it on Facebook, she WhatsApped it, she is a member of 5 groups, put it on them, and this one customer, we had to have a meeting this morning about how to handle this one customer's complaint. And we get 2.5 million customers a year. The power of one. And it's really interesting. She's like an all India radio. Broadcast, tweet, Twitter. You're like, okay, this is come, we picked this up, this is going viral, this one person's comments have attracted 20 more, this has got 40 have come from. You're like shocked. And this is what I mean by earlier big businesses. Frankly, you all said we love the customer, we want to have customer relationship, this, that, and that. But frankly, if you go and stay at the Taj Hotel and you have a complaint and you write it down, you get some form letter from some deputy general manager, or if you're lucky, you get some form letter saying, a friend of mine had a really bad experience at a hotel. He said, I'm going to fix these guys. I said, how are you going to fix these guys? He ran like, no, that. Went to TripAdvisor. Went on TripAdvisor and wrote a scathing review. Repeated it a few times. Then went to the site of the company they owned the hotel chain and wrote another review. And then went to a site where the employees of this company called Glassdoor or something, where they share comments and wrote it there. The chairman of the board of this company calls the person and says, listen, let's meet. This is the good side of change. But people are being empowered in a whole different way. And so what do you do if you're running a business or you're part of a family business or you're working in a business? What do you do in a situation like this? And it's to me, you really, as leaders, the best piece of advice I got was from a man who runs a 100,000 crore a year business. His name is Charlie Murphy. It is the world's largest employee-owned company. And he says one of the things you have to do as a leader in today's world is actually be incredibly relaxed, wander aimlessly, and be open to all kinds of experiences, which means you need to be free from the daily operational strategy execution grind. And I thought about that, and I realized something very interesting in that. Actually, all the best ideas in my life have come when I was wandering aimlessly. Now, we are trained, I'm sure you all are taught from the moment you were young kids, be focused, work on time, deliver on time, focus on time, multitask like hell, manage the kids, the husband, the whatever, all the time multitask, which is all great. And I don't think there's a group that does it better than all of you, but think about the opposite of it. Because today, when missiles are coming of change are coming at you from all sides, situations are changing. You might have a family business that's an advertising company, and the rules of advertising are going to be rewritten in the next 2 years. And one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to be on the right side of the revolution or the wrong side of the revolution. If you're in the case of the wrong side of the revolution, you stand to lose business. So I think that all the communities, the business community needs to think about this more than anybody else, because in a way their livelihoods depend on it. And so what I started doing, which has really helped me a lot, is spending a certain amount of my time every month wandering aimlessly. When I was a kid, I had a very supportive mom and dad who let me do exactly what I wanted to do. I told them I wanted to travel in 1988 all over Bhutan. They said, go for it. When I arrived in Bhutan, I realized there were 7 cars in Thimphu, and their license plate numbers were BHD 1 to 7. I had no idea where I had gone. I said bye to my parents at the airport. I had booked a call in those days, and almost a month later, I said hi to them when I was back at the airport. They had no idea whether I disappeared, fallen into a river, disappeared. I was given the name of a place I could go in Thimphu and send a wireless message to them if there was an emergency. And they had a friend in Bhutan. But other than that, I was on my own. I look at myself and my wife with our kids. We call our kids or the nanny every 5 minutes on the phone. Acha bacha pahunch gaya, aa gaya, gaadi se utar gaya. So, you know, so we have, but interestingly enough, when I wandered through Bhutan aimlessly, I saw a lot of very interesting things, which today are being discussed as the future. You know, it is this, in this wandering aimlessly and connecting yourself with people, and that's the other thing that I think is very important, is that when you wander aimlessly, you connect yourself with people who are thinking about things, doing things and all. So that's the other promise I've made myself. I'm going to spend at least, in a normal month, I'm going to spend at least 1/4 of my time connecting with interesting thinkers who have no gainful purpose for my business. I'm not going to see some retail guru because of some gyan he gave me on my business. I'm going to see somebody, you know, hatke, totally different. I'm going to read books that have nothing to do with improving business, improving my leadership, I'm going to not do any of that. But in wandering aimlessly and doing things like that, I will develop, hopefully, some insights into the future. And those insights are going to be very important for the business. And that's the approach. I think that I can only tell you what I've personally done and how it's worked. One of the things I did while wandering aimlessly is that when everybody in my college was getting summer jobs with Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, I told my parents I wanted to get a job with an organic farmer. Firstly, when I told my nanny this, she said, "What is organic farming?" And I figured out the word for it in Hindi was jairik. So I told her, but she didn't quite cotton on. She said, "Why don't you get a proper job in the summer?" Anyway, to cut a long story short, I ended up working with this organic farmer. And I learned a lot about organic farming. This was in 1987, 1986 and 87, which was a long time ago. People in the US weren't talking about organics. Forget in India, I mean, there's no. But he was a very interesting man, and he was more than a farmer, he was a real guru. He really understood soil, and he taught you about so many things and all that. I come back to India, I'm doing some other things, my life goes along, and in 2002, I woke up one day after traveling in Madhya Pradesh and seeing, and I had been to Punjab and Madhya Pradesh. In Punjab, I had seen incredible damage that this high pesticide, high yielding wheat and all was doing. I mean, to the ground, to people's health and all that. And I came back from there and I was thinking about it. It was a real experience because you saw things, you saw people show you what happened to their soil, because this had been 25 years of Green Revolution technology. And I'm not against the Green Revolution, I'm just saying the soil was very depleted. They said, ab is dharti mein koi jaan nahi rahi. At the same time as that, I met a very interesting Ayurvedic doctor who taught me about the prana theory of foods. At that time, I mean, if you said prana and foods, people literally laughed you out of the room. I got very interested in organics again because I had that in the back. And I began to research it in the country and realized that until the 60s and 70s, almost all food in India had been grown organically. And in the 70s, with the chemical fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, weedicides, and all the technologies that were coming in, things were changing rapidly.